Samwise Gamgee is everyone's favorite hobbit. Well, at least for everyone who only saw the movies. In the books, he's probably a little further down on everyone's power rankings. But one thing we rarely see Samwise do is fight. He's a gardener at heart, so why would someone who has a kind heart, who loves things that grow, want to go out in a cage match against some of the most fearsome and deadly foes of all of Middle-earth? Because let me tell you something. That's exactly what J.R.R. Tolkien did in the books. In the films, we get like 3 moments. This moment with a pan,
I think I'm getting the hang of this.
his battle with Shelob, and the moment when he pretends he's huge and large and really intimidating when he takes down those orcs.
And that's for my old gather!
But holy smokes, in the end of part 4 of the books, which is really the end of the Two Towers, but I don't really want to get into that, Samwise is legitimately described as maybe the most fierce and feared being in all of Middle-earth. Gollum is terrified of her. Orcs think he's like a majestic elven lord. And Shelob herself, probably the most terrifying being in Middle-earth, even more terrifying than Sauron himself, or a Balrog, or the Watcher in the Water. Shelob runs away from Sam like he is Eru Ilúvatar incarnate come to defeat her. It is astounding stuff. And it just makes me want to get out of my chair and kind of root for this guy as I read. And today, all I want to do is talk about those moments in the book, because they are just so good. And just know that I am hoping that Samwise has even more moments like this, because I'm only through the Two Towers book and it's my first time read. I think you should also subscribe if you like this kind of content and you want to vicariously live through me, who is reading this text for the first time, because there are so many good little notes in this text, and I'm writing a ton of video essays just about my first time read experience and all my thoughts and all my notes on these chapters. So make sure you subscribe, because I think that you like this channel if you are liking this video. But let's start with Sam's first brilliant and brave moment, which I think is his least brilliant and brave moment, but it's still incredibly brilliant and brave. This is the moment when he fights Gollum. Now, I want to start this off by saying that Gollum is more slippery and terrifying in the books. In the movie, he's just like a bit annoying and they catch him easily, but in the books, they make a note that he evaded not only the elves of Mirkwood, not only the Gondorians in Ithilien, not only the elves in Lothlorien, but Aragorn himself. Aragorn had insane difficulty tracking Gollum, and only just managed to find him before Aragorn is almost about to give up. And he sent him off to Mirkwood, where Gollum escaped. So when I say that Samwise defeated Gollum in combat, this is much more impressive in the book than you actually think it is. And especially in the way that Tolkien describes the fight. It is the moment as soon as they get clear of the cave of Shelob, right before Shelob attacks. Gollum, who actually worships Shelob and bows down to her and is essentially like an employee for her, and someone that the orcs actually call Shelob's sneak, Gollum isolated Frodo and Sam so that Shelob could kill Frodo and that Gollum could kill Sam. Frodo goes running ahead because he's in this fey mood, and this is what the text says. Sam gasped and gathered all his remaining breath to shout. "Look out behind," he yelled. "Look out, master, I'm..." But suddenly his cry was stifled. A long, clammy hand went over his mouth, and another caught him by the neck, while something wrapped itself about his leg. Taken off his guard, he toppled backward into the arms of his attacker. "Got him," hissed Gollum in his ear. "At last, my precious. We've got him, yes, the nasty hobbit. We takes this one. She'll get the other. Oh yes, Shelob, we'll get him. Not Smeagol. He promised he won't hurt Master at all. But he's got you, you nasty, filthy little sneak." He spat on Sam's neck. Fury at the treachery and desperation at the delay when his master was in deadly peril gave to Sam a sudden violence and strength that was far beyond anything Gollum had expected from this slow, stupid hobbit as he thought him. Not Gollum himself could have twisted more quickly or more fiercely. His hold on Sam's mouth slipped, and Sam ducked and lunged forward again, trying to tear away from the grip on his neck. And so what they do in this little section next is they end up sparring for a little bit, and they kind of have a wrestling match to kind of try to get out of each other's grips. And then Tolkien goes on to say this. Then Sam waded in. Not waiting to change the staff from left to right, he dealt another savage blow. Quick as a snake, Gollum slithered aside, and the stroke aimed at his head fell across his back. The staff cracked and broke. That was enough for him. Grabbing from behind was an old game of his, and seldom had he failed in it. But this time, misled by spite, he had made the mistake of speaking and gloating before he had both hands on his victim's neck. Everything had gone wrong with this beautiful plan, since that horrible light had so unexpectedly appeared in the darkness. And now he was face to face with a furious enemy, little less than his own size. This fight was not for him. Sam swept up his sword from the ground and raised it. Gollum squealed, and springing aside onto all fours, he jumped away in one big bound like a frog. Before Sam could reach him, he was off, running with amazing speed back toward the tunnel. Sword in hand, Sam went after him. For the moment, he had forgotten everything else but the red fury in his brain and the desire to kill Gollum. But before he could overtake him, Gollum was gone. Now, this is an incredible, incredible moment. But I have to say, this is probably the weakest in the End of the Two Towers that Sam is in this whole stretch of chapters. But still, it's an incredible description of Sam's strength and his surprising power against Gollum. Now, the next moment is the moment with Shelob, and this might be one of my favorites, because the chapter ends with this fight with Gollum, and the next chapter begins with his battle with Sam and Shelob. And let me tell you, Shelob, according to what Tolkien wrote in his book, vomits darkness, and she wants to eat so many sweetmeats of humans and hobbits and elves and men that she eventually gets so fat that the mountain cannot support her in her weight. She smells awful too, which oddly feels significant, and I'd probably say that the best written terror that Tolkien has ever created in The Lord of the Rings is Shelob. I'm really curious what her mother Ungoliant is going to be like, because I've heard that she's terrifying beyond all things, but I think if you've seen the movies, you'd probably rather deal with Shelob than the Balrog. I think if you've read the books, and maybe this is just me speaking, but I would rather be in a ring with Shelob over the Balrog any day. She is probably the scariest thing in Middle-earth at the moment. But you know what scares the scariest thing in the world? Samwise Gamgee, son of Hamfast. Sam did not wait to wonder what was to be done, or whether he was brave or loyal or filled with rage. He sprang forward with a yell and seized his master's sword in his left hand. Then he charged. No onslaught more fierce was ever seen in the savage world of beasts, where some desperate small creature, armed with little teeth alone, will spring upon a tower of horn and hide that stands above its fallen mate. Disturbed, as if out of some gloating dream by his small yell, she slowly turned the dreadful malice of her glance upon him. But almost before she was aware that a fury was upon her greater than she had known in countless years, the shining sword bit upon her foot and shore away the claw. Sam is possessed right now by some spirit, and we're going to talk about this later. Shelob, the most fearsome beast in all of Middle-earth, is terrified of Sam Gamgee, and Sam is fighting like a god amongst hobbits. Honestly, I think if you put anyone in a ring with Sam right now in all of Middle-earth, I think Samwise would probably come out on top. And I just love the writing of Tolkien here. A fury was upon her greater than she had known in countless years. The book goes on and says this. Now the miserable creature was right under her, talking about Sam, for the moment out of reach of her sting and of her claws. Her vast belly was above him with its putrid light, and the stench of it almost smote him down. Still, his fury held for one more blow, and before she could sink upon him, smothering him in all his little impudence of courage, he slashed the bright elven blade across with desperate strength. And so now Sam is under her belly, and Shelob has the idea of crushing him to death. And the sword keeps piercing her belly, and she ends up spraying poisonous body fluid everywhere. And then this is what the text goes on to say. No such anguish had Shelob ever known, or dreamed of knowing, in all her long world of wickedness. Not the doughtiest soldier of old Gondor, nor the most savage orc entrapped had ever thus endured her, or set blade to her beloved flesh. A shudder went through her. Heaving up again, wrenching away from the pain, she bent her writhing limbs beneath her, and sprang backwards in a convulsive leap. Then Samwise kind of knocked down, and he's like in this little stupor because he's kind of exhausted in this moment, and he like has a hard time seeing. He kind of tries to get up as Shelob gathers her strength against him. And she decides, as the book says, gathered herself for another spring, this time to crush and sting to death. No little bite of poison to still the struggling of her meat, this time to slay and then to rend. And then a wild moment happens in this section. I just have to read how cool this is, and I have to read this entire thing because honestly, it feels like when Aang took on all the power of the avatars here. It's like Samwise is taking on all the power of the elf lords who came before him. And this section is one of the coolest in the entire series. Even as Sam himself crouched, looking at her, seeing his death in her eyes, a thought came to him, as if some remote voice had spoken. And he fumbled in his breast with his left hand and found what he sought. Cold and hard, and solid it seemed to his touch, in a phantom world of horror. The phial of Galadriel. Galadriel, he said faintly. And then he heard voices far off, but clear. The crying of elves as they walked under the stars in the beloved shadows of the Shire. And the music of the elves as it came through his sleep in the hall of fire in the house of Elrond. Gilthoniel a Elbereth. And then his tongue was loosed, and his voice cried in a language which he did not know. Ah, Elbereth Githoniel, Ameniel Palandirel, Leinalon si Dingthuros, Atiro nin Fanulios. And with that he staggered to his feet, and was Samwise the Hobbit, Hamfast's son again. Now come on, you filth, he cried. You've hurt my master, you brute, and you'll pay for it. We're going on, but we'll settle with you first. Come on and taste it again. As if his indomitable spirit had set its potency in motion, the glass blazed suddenly like a white torch in his hand. It flamed like a star that, leaping from the firmament, sears the dark air with intolerable light. No such terror out of heaven had ever burned in Shelob's face before. The beams of it entered into her wounded head and scored it with unbearable pain. And the dreadful infection of light spread from eye to eye. She fell back, beating the air with her forelegs, her sight blasted by inner lightnings, her mind in agony. Then turning her maimed head away, she rolled aside and began to crawl, claw by claw, toward the opening in the dark cliff behind. Sam came on. He was reeling like a drunken man, but he came on. And Shelob cowed at last, shrunken in defeat, jerked and quivered as she tried to hasten from him. She reached the hole, and squeezing down, leaving a trail of green-yellow slime, she slipped in, even as Sam hewed a last stroke at her dragging legs. Then he fell to the ground. How freaking cool is that? I mean, why didn't the movies have this? This is Samwise tapping into some magical power in Middle-earth. But what I love most is that when he comes back out of this like language that he can't speak, and he's Samwise again, he himself is the one to defeat Shelob and cause her to run away. I feel like it's his confidence is the thing that lights this file so much that Shelob can't even stand it. It is just such a good moment. But I think my favorite moment that Sam has is how the orcs talk about him. This moment comes right after Sam grieves for Frodo and decides to move on with the ring himself. Then as he's walking away from Frodo, there are these two orc parties, one from Mordor and the other one from Minas Morgul. And the two leaders of these groups are Gorbag and Shagrat. But of course, we're going to call him Shagrat. And this is what the text says. How could he escape? Or save himself? Or save the ring? The ring. He was not aware of any thought or decision. He simply found himself drawing out the chain and taking the ring in his hand. The head of the orc company appeared in the cleft right before him. Then he put it on. Sam puts on the ring of power. How on earth is this not in the movies? I have so many questions and comments, but I am going to refrain myself because I'll probably make another video about this sometime later this week because I have so many thoughts. But anyway, Sam, with the ring on, follows these orcs as they begin to talk. And one of them says this: "Nothing gets by Shelob when she's on the hunt." "Nothing, you say? Didn't you use your eyes back there? I tell you, I'm not easy in my mind. Whatever came up the stairs did get by. It cut her web and got clean out of the hole. That's something to think about." "Ah, well, but she got him in the end, didn't she?" "Got him? Got who? This little fellow? But if he was the only one, then she'd have had him off to her larder long before, and there he'd be now. And if Lugburs wanted him, you'd have to go and get him. Nice for you, but there was one more." At this point, Sam began to listen more attentively and pressed his ear against the stone. "Who cut the cord she put round him, Shagrat?" "Same one as cut the web. Didn't you see that? And who stuck a pin in her ladyship?" "Same one, I reckon." "And where is he? Where is he, Shagrat?" Shagrat made no reply. "You may well put your thinking cap on if you've got one. It's no laughing matter. No one has ever stuck a pin in Shelob before, as you should know well enough. There's no grief in that. But think, there's someone loose hereabouts as is more dangerous than any other damned rebel that ever walked since the bad old times, since the great siege. Something has slipped." "And what is it then?" growled Shagrat. "By all the signs, Captain Shagrat, I'd say there's a large warrior loose. Elf most likely. With an elf sword anyway. And an axe as well maybe. And he's loose in your bounds too. And you've never spotted him. Very funny indeed." Gorbat spat. Sam smiled grimly at the description of himself. So they believe that Sam Gamgee, the one who escaped from Shelob and maimed her, is the most dangerous rebel to walk Middle-earth since the bad old times. And I don't know the lore there, but I'm sure that there have been some pretty strong and tough rebels who have walked through Middle-earth. The orcs believe, whatever slipped through Shelob's lair is stronger than Galadriel, than Gandalf, than Aragorn, than Faramir, than Gimli, than Haldir, than Legolas. I could go on naming folk in Middle-earth. This is such a cool bit of lore. Sam, when he gets out of this, can sure brag about this to his future kids. Actually, if he has any future kids. I haven't heard one peep about Rosie Cotton yet. No spoilers, please. But I don't know if she comes up in this story or not. I really hope that she does. But Sam being loose in Mordor near these orcs makes them not want to report Frodo to Barad-dûr, because they don't want to report one danger when there's a more dangerous danger that lurks nearby. This is just the stuff of legends. And this right here, I think, are some of the three greatest moments of Samwise in the book. Well, this one and the weeping at Bill the Pony in the first book, which is still one of my favorite moments in the entire series. But how can you not love Sam after this? He is a true loyal friend, someone who will defeat a great giant spider demon if that spider demon crosses you. And we all need a friend like Sam. I just love these books so much. But make sure you subscribe, like the video, become a member, and as always, always remember to look toward Numenor that was, and beyond to Elvenhome that is, and to that which is beyond Elvenhome, and will ever be. I'll see you in the next one.